this meeting of the Bethel Public Site and Building Commission to order at 7:02, even though I'd rather be watching the UConn game. Should have said that before the recording started. Okay, so do we have a flag? Anybody have a flag? Dave's not here with his flag. I have a flag.
You can get to the second half, Nancy.
Oh, Kathy's got one. I got a little tiny one too. So please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, public input. Going once. Going twice. No public input. Correspondence. Nothing outside of whatever we have for our committee reports and things like that. So approval of meeting minutes. I will make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes for our regular meeting of February 9th, 2022. I need a second. A whole bunch of people just seconded it. Pick one. Does anybody have anything that they need to change, update, etc. on the minutes? Usually we don't. Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Does anybody have to abstain? I don't remember.
I will. Yeah, I do. Nancy.
Yeah,
it's Roy.
Roy wasn't here. Yes. Okay. Roy abstains. Thanks. That passes. So we'll jump right into our old business. Before we start, I mean, we could do it when we get there, but before we start, I want to add something to the agenda. And even though being a regular meeting, we don't have to stick to just the bullets that are on the agenda, but I am going to add in a review of change orders, a review of PCOs. So I'll make, just to make it official, I'll make that motion that we add that into our bullets, review of PCOs. Somebody has to second it.
I'll second that.
Roy seconds it, and we have one that kind of came in late, but it's something we had already discussed. So when we get there, you'll see what it is, and we'll just make it a little more official. So all in favor of that motion? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Done. Okay, closeout progress and completion update. Who's going to start us with that, Geraldine or Ken?
I think Ken or Jim, because I'm not sure that there's anything really any update to really report other than closing out some of the subcontractor contracts, which Ken would have.
Yeah, I have Ferguson for closeout. They're ready to go. So I'll be submitting them. And he's got one thing to finish out there at Johnson that he was going to do this week, but he said he's going to be there next week to do it. And that's all I have.
Hey, Ken, this is Roy. Just checking, have you had any luck? I was not there at the last meeting with getting closed out or getting what the claim amounts for priority and some of the other ones are.
Yes. Priority was closed out, Ferguson and Action Air.
Okay. Okay. So there's no claim or anything from priority.
No, that's not accurate, Roy. So Priority has a claim for the reseeding that he did in the fall of 2021. I want to say round numbers, it's about $12,000. We sent a copy to Gerald, and it's not a complete package. We responded back to him that he has to follow the contract for any submission of any claim. We have not received anything back from him on that, but that is out there.
Okay. Okay. Good, Jim. Thanks. So but any other ones that you have that are still out there, Jim?
Just the ceiling sub acoustics had submitted his claims that had been rejected by the town. we sent that rejection back to them and have not gotten any correspondence back from them on that.
Okay. Okay, fine.
So in saying that priorities closed out, where does that leave us with, sorry, the email that you sent a little earlier today, Ken? Like, where does that fit into the process?
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's closed out, Nancy. I would say his, it's, what we tried to do was cobble together a coherent response to the punch list and from his feedback and his position so that everybody is very clear on, it's one thing to say, throw somebody off a job. It's another to follow a contract and do it properly so it doesn't come back to bite you. So that's what the response is. It's an attempt to try to lay everything out that's known, that's out there. There was no convincing him or him changing his position. We made sure we gave a response though to each item. But again, a lot of it goes back to, his position that starting as early as 2020 in the fall, that the grass was damaged by the town maintenance contract.
Okay.
So, and just as background on that, so the last actual punch list that we had from SLR and Perkins Eastman was from November. And that was the list that was sent over to Rizzo to send to mostly to priority. I think there were probably some earth movers items on there too, but it was, the request was, as is typical with punch lists, please respond to each outstanding item or each item. Tell us what's closed, tell us what was fixed, tell us whatever. So we did receive an email today. It was pretty detailed with a lot of backup photos and documents. It came in this afternoon, so I did not circulate it to anybody. I still have to, go through it. Perkins Eastman and SLR need to go through it, and then we'll present it to the building committee. But it was in fact an answer to that directive. There's a response to every single picture and punch list item that SLR had identified on their latest list. So just kind of in broad strokes, it looks like the response from the subcontractors are that priority is all done. They are not intending to do anything else on the site, regardless of the punch list. Their answers to all those items were either not in our scope, not identified in an earlier punch list, or we're done. We've done all we can do. There were a couple of items on the list from earth movers that need to wait until spring. There's a pavement patching. We'll wait until how the soccer field at Johnson comes back in the spring. And might have been something else. There might have been some other.
There's the reseeding over by the where the water exploration was for the water line.
Yeah,
so.
Rockwell, where we're looking for the water main. So all those things legitimately need to be resolved, in the spring. But in terms of the priority items, what we have today is what I think we're going to be left with. So that'll probably be the gist of the report coming back from the professionals.
Okay.
And we'll have that
So-
for the next meeting.
Okay, so because that email, like Geraldine said, came this afternoon, and rather than just quickly forwarding it to everyone, I wanted to wait and see about how it was going to be handled. And so I think that some reviews will have to be done. And as Geraldine said, so we'll look at it at the next meeting, correct?
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Hey, Jim, at that one, you think you'll be resolved on that ceiling subcontract or the acoustics?
I'm sorry, Roy, say that again?
Do you think by the next meeting you'd be resolved on the, what was the one other one, the ceiling, the acoustics on
Yeah.
that?
He is signed off on the job. As far as we're concerned, we've responded to his claim. He's got time limitations per his contract to respond to those things.
Uh-huh.
As far as we're concerned, we're counting that as that's closed out. But I
Okay.
just want to make sure you guys were aware that that's, anybody can do anything a year from now. It's just, as far as we're
Yeah.
concerned, there's nothing left to be done with him.
How many dollars you talking about there?
I want to say, Roy, I think it was about 20 on one school and 30 on another, something like that.
Okay,
if I'm remembering right.
Okay, just so I have a general idea. Thank you.
Sure, sure. But I wouldn't put that at the same level as I would put the priority stuff.
The priority.
Right, right.
That's good. Okay, thank you.
So where are we with the soccer field that testing had been done? And I think we only had preliminary information back.
Yeah, we did some more soil sampling, 8 more samples, and those results came back today. So I'll get those out tomorrow.
Okay.
Good.
And there was also, what else? Oh, never mind. Oh, and we did, so I don't know if we want to do this as part of closeout in a way it would be. Terry sent me an email earlier today too about an email she got from Chris Baldwin about the CO. So see if I can go back to that. Basically, Chris Baldwin says, if I can find it, that he's still waiting for a few things, including something about stuff that he had asked about the roof, but I'm sure that the information was then whatever. I think Bob was supposed to get some pictures and such.
No, he had those pictures, Nancy.
Okay, all right. So he's
Yes,
saying that
Oh.
basically he's saying I still need zoning sign off and a letter from the architect of substantial completion, and I still need verification on work on roof, which I should be able to get from Rick, the commissioning agent, as we both noted the same deficiencies, and I am hoping they were fixed. That was way back, I think,
Oh.
right?
Yeah, that's a real old one.
Yeah, so I think he should have more updated information than that, but again.
So I'll reach out, because doesn't sound clear whether he's reaching out to Rick at IES or whether he's looking for, I had sent to Chris the final commissioning report. So it sounds like maybe he has questions about something that was in the report. I'll reach out to Chris and make sure he connects with Rick and gets an answer to that question.
Okay.
But
If he needs me to
and
do
then-
anything, I'll do it. I just
And
need
then was,
clarification.
well, right, but what I think, let Geraldine kind of touch base, because if Chris is saying he needs something he already has, let's not duplicate that. You know, if you sent him
Well-
stuff already,
yeah.
yeah. And then letter of substantial completion, didn't that happen already? Or?
No, so Joe, we talked about this probably a week and a half ago about the.
Yeah, I have
certificate
it.
of
I have the draft, and I left you a message today to talk to you about. There's a couple of outstanding items on it before I could
Okay.
finalize it.
Okay. Yeah, that's a legitimate request. There's an affidavit that the structural engineer has to file for the one school because it was over the threshold size.
Right.
So that was John. There is now a letter that has to be filed for the CO, and then Joe's working on certificates of substantial completion. So
Yeah, we have
we'll
the
exit.
statement of professional opinion. That's going to come from us, actually.
Right.
So that-
Oh,
and that's
okay.
just for Johnson.
Right.
And then the stuff that I guess Beth needs for the soccer field is forthcoming because they just got some more info back. So
Right. And
We're
those got
moving.
test reports SLR. So SLR needs to respond to whether it complies with the specs. So hopefully those three outstanding can be resolved.
So we're crawling forward on the CO. Is there anything else anybody has either questions on from past discussions, et cetera, on the whole closeout process and completion process that they want to get info from Ken or Jim? Good. So the site work punch list. Are we discussing that, or is that, we want to wait till we put all that info that we got today together with?
Yes, that would be my recommendation. Take the information that came from Rizzo today, forward that through Perkins Eastman, to Perkins Eastman to comment and SLR. Make a recommendation on whether anything more needs to be done with the answers to the punch list items, and we'll have something for the next meeting.
Yes, I forwarded that to SLR already today.
Okay, good.
Yep, so we have, our next meeting is March 9th, so we got some time then to do that. All right. Budget review, or do we want to do the change order thing first? We didn't say we,
Budget review, I guess. Budget.
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
well, because I
Budget review
think,
first.
yeah, let's do the budget review, because the stuff that's in the budget review on, especially in your combined list, is already there as far as what
It is.
we're going to look at is the change order. So, yeah.
It is already incorporated into the, I'll go right to that combined statement, because literally nothing has changed on the individual budget. So we do have, so the construction costs and the soft costs have been updated based on approvals given at the last meeting. That includes the latest requisition from Rizzo, so incorporating all of those closeout payments and paid. We do not, even though we're going to talk about a PCO in a minute, it's not in this section because it's already actually been rolled up into the construction cost. You'll see that in a minute. I am carrying what I believe to be the final settlement numbers with both Perkins Eastman and Rizzo for additional payments to them. I'm pretty sure the 175 is accurate for Rizzo. I'm not sure how it'll be split. That was my guess at how it would be split between the schools, but regardless, we're accounting for those additional approved adjustments. We have some credits hanging out that are just unresolved in the budget because I'm using them as to pay for small things as we go along. The owner's contingency remains relatively the same that we've been looking at over the last few months. And today, the bottom line, it looks like right now today that we should close out the project a little over $1 million under budget. And things like the additional furniture that was approved a couple of meetings ago are already accounted for in the soft cost number up here. So that when those invoices come, they should not affect these numbers. I am still carrying $20,000 for that additional door at Johnson. That's a kind of a wild guess rather than a real number at this point. But that's where we currently stand with money available going forward, or money that the project will come in under budget, a little over $1 million.
Good. Anybody have any questions? So we can keep that up there, because I'll in going into the professional services, additional service requests, since there were, and we talked about this before, or I explained before a while back, actually, since there were additional fees requested by both Perkins Eastman and Rizzo, and that would have resulted in changes to the contract. The attorneys kind of got involved and talked back and forth, et cetera. And my understanding is that there's a letter of agreement or a memoranda of agreement that's been signed by Rizzo, total amount $175,000. Again, how it's split between the two schools, we might have to figure out. And that the letter between Perkins Eastman and the town, settlement agreement or letter of agreement, is happening or forthcoming. Some of this has to go through the Board of Selectmen because they're the ones that got involved in bringing the attorneys in. So I know that the Rizzo amount was approved because the letters were signed. And I think, as I said, Perkins Eastman part is forthcoming.
I
So those-
believe Joe Costa returned it this morning or yesterday.
Okay, good. That's good to know. So again, it'll have to be reviewed by the Board of Selectmen and the attorneys, and I think attorneys are already done with their part. Board of Selectmen just has to put their stamp on it, and then we're all good to go with that. So that's moving forward also. So those amounts, I think we keep in there. And then I don't know if you need to keep them there or whether they get moved up, or how we look at those going forward into the future.
On the Rizzo side, we will need to see a change order, right? Because we're changing the contract amount. And at that point, we'll roll it up into the construction cost number on the top. And the same, and I guess similarly from Perkins Eastman, we'll probably just see an invoice. And at that point, we'll book it to increasing the soft cost numbers, and then it'll disappear from its own little section there. So.
Yeah, so I have to find out, like Geraldine said, 'cause we talked about this too, that there will need to have some sort of official, it's going to result with Rizzo in a change to the GMP. So it'll have to be some sort of change ordery kind of thing. And then I don't know if we just get an invoice from Perkins or if we'll have to do some sort of proposal. But I'll check with the Board of Selectmen on that. Want to make sure it all is done in the right order. So
Those signed adjustment letters or memorandum of understanding, whatever they may serve as the official agreement.
yeah, that's what I would think. Just want to make sure. Because it's a different situation of needing to change the GMP and getting some sort of do we get an official change order from Rizzo, or does that letter suffice? And then we would not get a change order from Perkins Eastman. So we wouldn't need something, but I just want to make sure we're not leaving anything out as we move forward with that. Okay, so with the professional services, that's pretty much wrapped up right now. And as I asked earlier for us to add in a change order discussion, I think we can move into that unless anybody has any further questions on the budget.
So the change order is associated with Johnson School, and this is the $105,800 that we previously discussed and approved, and the building committee approved to restore back to the construction manager's contingency amount what was needed to cover some of the outstanding costs in order to close out subcontractor contracts. And as you recall, the rationale was that we used 193,000, I think it was 193,000 of the CM's contingency at the very beginning of the project to pay for the increase in the roofing contracts. So this is a matter of kind of balancing back a portion of that money that was removed early on to cover legitimate costs that would have hit the CM contingency during the project. Previously discussed and approved, and this is just the backup. Again, much like we just discussed about the increases in their contract amount, this is the backup paperwork that allows us to approve that increase to the GMP.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it. So now, as Geraldine said, we had already approved this amount. And as we looked at all of the amounts, because there were two amounts, there was one for Rockwell, one for Johnson. Throughout the, as we had discussions about it, Rizzo continued to monitor how much they were going to need rather than just sticking that full amount back in for each school. So this one is going to Johnson because Rockwell didn't need to have that large amount put back in, or even a small amount. So is there any other questions about this or any more discussion? Again, we actually approved the amount, but this is the official change order, which will have to get signed, etc. All in favor?
Aye.
Is there anyone Who's opposed? Okay, that carries. Do you have a change order package, Geraldine, that you're still putting together for final change orders for Matt to sign, or is you're waiting till I think we're really done?
There isn't really one pending. I think at this point, I'd like to wait for the change order that will be associated with the 175,000. And
Yes.
then we'll put together, there will obviously be one for each school, but we'll package whatever we have remaining for Johnson with this one. I'll go back through, but I do not believe that we have any outstanding PCOs waiting to be, added into a final change order. I think a lot of the items that have come up lately, we've had Rizzo pay out of, recommended that they just fund them out of the CM contingencies in order to draw down on the Rockwell one, because there still is a balance there that will return to the town. So instead of going through the paperwork, and then we've just rejected some lately. So, but so whatever we have at the time that we get the final settlement numbers there, we'll package together, and that'll be that as a final
Okay.
change order.
Okay. Sounds good. So that's it for change orders. Are we really moving into invoices?
We are.
Before we do that, does anybody else have anything they need to bring up or discuss or bring forward or ask questions about before we get into invoices?
Nancy, I had two questions.
Okay,
The first was, I think in order to get a real number for the committee to consider for the doors,
Or
Bob, I think Bob, you need some things so that you can get
Right.
some real quotes, right?
That's correct. With the last
Yeah.
meeting, you said you were gonna have Joe draw something up, but is that really necessary? I mean, it's a pretty clear.
yeah. Well, yes. So after the last meeting, Joe did revise the drawings, and he did deeper into the hardware question, and I do have a package of information for you, and that was my fault for not acting on that sooner. I didn't really realize that I hadn't, moved that ahead until I was preparing for this. So first thing tomorrow morning, I'm going to send you what I have from Joe with some, with some more information, and then Bob, you and I can strategize on how you want to approach implementing, getting the real numbers so that the building committee can approve, so we can implement the thing. That was my fault. It fell off of my list.
What are the
I apologize.
numbers? What are the numbers for the allocation for this? What did you say, 20?
She put
I
a
have-
placeholder, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. The number was 20, but what I really need is obviously is somebody who's really going to be buying the door, installing the hardware, hooking up the security. Need some real quotes on all of that to see
Yeah.
whether my number is that.
I'll start tomorrow and start calling for quotes.
Okay, I'll get it out to you maybe right after this meeting, but definitely first thing in the morning.
Not a problem.
Hey, I had a question for you, Jarlin, about the doors.
Yeah.
So I had shown them at 6.0 to match all the other corridor doors, but we could make them 7.0, and that would give a wider opening for most of the time that they're open. But I didn't know if Bob had an attic stock.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna try to do. I was gonna try to use attic stock.
Yeah. Which are probably
I am a teacher and a
three
neighbor
doors.
starting next week.
Yeah, it's just like all the other doors.
Yeah.
So please tell me how I am supposed to
Okay.
teach my children that I am going to school without a mask and they can't. It's
so whoever's got the background noise going on, if you could mute yourself, that would be helpful. Thank you. Okay, so
And
you,
then
go ahead,
okay.
Terry, you've got something
The
else
second
there, right?
item, the second item was, I didn't know I know we have to wait for the priority thing to be done. And then I didn't know where we were at with an alternate to look at that Roy was investigating, or
Right.
are we still
So-
talking about that, or where are we?
Right. So that's on the agenda to be reviewed shortly.
Oh, okay, great, thank you.
one other thing that John Perna has brought up several times, and we're trying to solve seems to be a mystery to me, is the roof warranties. And I did send some emails out, and things have been going round and round and round. So I figured, well, I have everybody here. Any warranty stuff that was turned over is being held by Bob's office? Is that yes or?
No, I don't have the roof
Not,
warranty.
I'm not talking about the roof. I'm just talking about everything else.
Well, I have
HVAC.
yeah, I have the 2 3-ring binders that have all the warranty information and all
Okay.
that. We
Right,
have
okay.
that. Terry and I both have that.
That's from Rizzo. Rizzo turned over beautiful,
Yes.
organized
Mhm.
warranty documents.
Right.
And then we've been working with Gerald about anything we need from more of the like tech and those
'Cause that's
pieces
right.
that weren't Rizzo. So Gerald's been working with us on that. And
Yes,
then
so-
there's, and then there's the roof piece. I don't know if there's any other pieces than that.
So probably not. The roof part, the warranty was in place. But then because the solar company went and worked on the roof during the warranty time, there was paperwork that had to be done to, I don't know if it actually suspended the warranties, probably not a good word to use, but in a way suspended the warranties. And then they had to be put back into place. So I reached out to Bill Craddy, who said, blah, 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 not my job. It's all been taken care of. The paperwork's all been taken care of. They gave JD Solar gave the paperwork to the town. So who in the town did they give it to? My understanding was to Chris Baldwin, who seems to not quite understand what his part might be from it. I think because there was a permit for, there was a permit for the solar installation. So he has to have that part in place. And I think those parts of the paperwork also have to be put in place. So, and then I just kind of said, I'm just going to wait a little bit and see what anybody else has to say with input on this. If all the warranties, yeah, if the warranties, right, if the warranties.
Goes back and forth with Bill Craddy. It was Bill Craddy's commission, right? That headed up the solar, right?
Yes.
Did he? Okay.
What's that?
We shouldn't, there should only be one person that we should reach out to. His committee put the solar panels on our school. We should be able to get that paperwork from him. Case closed.
Right, but he said he gave it, they get, the solar company, he
But
said this,
Nancy, we don't have it. We don't have it. He said he gave it to us. We need another copy of it. He put solar panels on a brand new roof of ours.
right, yes, I
It's
understand that.
bad.
And he said that JD Solar, it wouldn't be him, Bill Craddy, but JD Solar gave the paperwork to the town. So my next step would be, I think, including Bill Craddy in an email, asking JD Solar, who in the town did they give the paperwork to? Did they say they gave it to Bob? They didn't give it to Bob. Did
No,
they give it? They give it to finance? Why would finance have it? Did they give it to, and again, Bob needs that kind of information, not just for the 2 schools whose roofs are, we're working with, but on the track and field house too.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still waiting on that too. And I brought that to Mr. Craddy's attention. And again, he said, well, JD Solar turned it in. We
Turned it into, yes.
I'm wondering if he's including it in with the permit process.
See, and that's separate. It's separate in a way in that it's separate paperwork. But if we needed sign-offs from building, like Chris Baldwin, to say, yeah, the job was done fine, and then the warranties got reinstated or whatever. See, I don't know exactly the
Well,
process.
So
Well, we need
Nancy,
another copy like John said. Just
Yeah, yep. Yeah,
but I don't understand why we have to be doing all the chasing here. I mean,
We're not.
who
We shouldn't.
contracted with JD Solar you know, I mean, I'd just as soon have our attorney send them a letter saying that, you know, that we're demanding to get copies of this. I mean, I would
Yeah.
think the town would have the highest interest in assuring themselves that this is done. Maybe,
Yep.
you know, Billy Craddy is not on the right team with us. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I hate to offend people, but you know, this is really has to be done. I absolutely agree with you, John, 100%. We have to get
Yeah,
this resolved. This should be no questions at all.
No
And
questions,
the
no
more they're-
questions asked
The
at
more
all.
they're screwing us around, the more concerned I get hearing about this.
Yeah.
I missed the last meeting and I'm ballistic at this point that we
Yeah.
can't get this stuff resolved. This is one of
Yeah.
the reasons why I didn't support this to start off with.
No, I will gladly, but I'm not gonna do it over a screen. I will gladly meet with Bill Craddy and tell him he made his way through our committee when he wanted the solar panels to get up on the roof. And now all we see is taillights and dust.
Right.
It's not gonna happen. It's our responsibility. He went and go put those things on the roof. And if anybody wants to set up a meeting, I'll go meet with him personally and tell him that it's his obligation as the committee chair of his, whatever he's listed under, I don't, what is his group? What
It's now called the Energy Conservation Commission, although I believe
Okay.
it's going through a rebranding,
Yeah, but
naming.
That's
new
all right.
people.
Was he the chairman?
Yes,
Okay, it's his job.
But and he
job, that's it.
contracted, I mean, they were the ones that contracted with JD Solar to put this on. Is that correct?
That's
Right,
Well,
we're not chasing down the solar company.
Right,
well,
exactly.
We're gonna set up a meeting. I'll gladly attend.
And it was approved at a town meeting and all the documents were signed by the first selectman. So it all, you know,
Yeah,
the ownership of the project is really in the first selectman's office and in the Energy Commission's committee.
right.
well, so just like we work on behalf of the town
Right.
for building projects that are assigned to us, the Energy Commission worked on behalf of the town to get the solar installation
Correct.
through.
Correct.
So Bill Craddy told me that JD Solar gave the paperwork to the town.
He's gonna
Where?
chase it out. I mean, that's their
Yeah.
Resend it.
Right. Yeah.
Resend it. He works for a big company, a huge company. Just
But
resend.
it's not Bill Craddy sending it. It's JD Solar
I
sending it.
realize that. I
Yeah.
realize, but he made the connection. He
Yep.
was the one that came to our meetings. We didn't
Right.
talk to JD Solar when he wanted to put the stuff on. the roof. We
Right.
talked to him. So it's his responsibility.
Right.
Agreed, John.
Yeah. I'll tell you, this is going on way too long.
Way too long.
I feel extremely uncomfortable now on a
Agreed.
roof we just put on a school.
Well, I did, as I said,
One-on-one stuff.
I did send emails out and I included you, John, and got the responses I told you. So I'm gonna have to look a little further, I suppose, on where
you know,
this supposed paperwork is. Where did it go? If they
No,
say,
No,
I mean,
Nancy, I think you're set up, just call Bill and say we want to meet with him and I'll meet with you.
yeah, I'm not gonna call Bill and we'll talk about this another time.
All right.
I'm just saying it's in the works, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So, so we're working on that. And I think we should do the invoices and then do the sunburst review. So we only have a couple of invoices. So I'll make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman
Oh.
invoice number 68962.07.0-11, extended services for Johnson School in the amount of $1,260. Got a second from Dave Olson. Any questions on this? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Done. We have another Perkins Eastman for Rockwell. I'll make a motion that we approve Perkins Eastman invoice number 68961. .06.0-11 for Rockwell Extended Services in the amount of $765.
Second.
Dave Olson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Good. And then we've got 2 from STV. So, sorry. Make a motion that we approve STV invoice number 900-23738. In the, again, for extended services in the amount of $2,184.
Second.
Got a second from Dave Olson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Done. And last from STV. Make a motion that we approve, I got the right one, yeah. Invoice number 900-23739. Again, extended services. This one's for Rockwell in the amount of $2,912. Second from Dave Olson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That's it for invoices. And does anybody have anything else on schools before we, because we're going to go into executive session as it says on the, sorry, everybody else, briefly, as it says on the agenda. And so I think I have to make a motion. I always forget. Kathy, do I have to make a motion? Yeah. Make a motion that we're going to go into executive session and invite in Geraldine and Terry, if you want to call him Terry. Anybody else we should have in?
Eileen.
No, okay, all right, Eileen. So Kathy, you got to put everybody else in the waiting room. So, but for the school stuff, Ken, Jim, and Joe Collada. Do we have Joe Collada? No. No, so Joe Collada, Ken, and Jim, we're done with school stuff. You don't have to go in the waiting room and hang around. I think we don't need you because you have your parts you have to do and you're going to be doing them. So this is our part that we have to do. So sorry, Bob. You're going to have to hang out in the waiting room for a little while and come back. Okay, good. All right, so Joe Collada, Ken, and Jim can sign off if they want. Everybody else has to go in the waiting room.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you
Bye.
very much, Ken, Jim, Joe, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Right.
All right, Ken is off, so now it's just us, right? All right, so
How do I go into the waiting room?
you're gonna, no, you're staying here, Bob. We want you here to discuss this with us.
Wrong Bob.
Okay, so we're back recording, we're back in session. We didn't make, I'll just say we didn't make any decisions or motions on this, and we'll get some more information for our next meeting. So we're done with school stuff, so that means Bob and Terry, I think you can be, good night, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks, Bob.
So then we're going to move into the police station firing range. And today, instead of going to the beach, I was able to go to a meeting at the police station on the firing range with Geraldine and Lieutenant Durkin, Chief Pugner, and representative from Action Target, representative from Jakunsky Hume. So Geraldine, why don't you give us a little update?
So the intent of the meeting was to get all the players together, take a look at the space, see what we were left with after the original build out, talk to the representative from Action Target, and kind of facilitate an interaction between Action Target and the architects so that Jakunsky Humes have a good understanding of what additional work needs to be done in order to coordinate both the installation of the action target equipment and then, supplement some of the work that was done originally. And we don't yet have a proposal from Jakunski Humes because Brian Humes was out of town last week, but he did send Mark Allen from his office to this meeting today. And Mark has a lot of experience with other police department buildings and other firing ranges. So he's an excellent addition to the team and understanding what the intent is and what needs to happen. He has actually he's working on a project in Stanford with this similar action target equipment. So has a really good understanding, we'll have a really good understanding of what we need to do. So Mark and I talked after the meeting. He said they should be able to provide a proposal to us by early next week. So well in advance of an approval at the next building committee meeting, we'll be able to circulate the architect's proposal and have a better understanding of what the scope is of the work that's outside of the action target work. So Action Target is going to provide and install all of the specific firing range equipment, and they're also providing and installing a complete ventilation, HVAC system for the project. And it looks like from the site visit today that the infrastructure that's already in place is fine. We're going to kind of build on that, but it's not like any big changes have to be made based on new equipment specifications or anything like that. So I think we're in a really good place to, by the next meeting, understand the scope of the work that's not included in the action target scope so that we know what we need to hire a contractor for, so that the architects know what they need to produce documents on. And we should be able to pull together both a better budget and a better schedule after we see the architect's scope of work.
Good.
So if anybody has any additional questions, I think that one of the things that's outstanding is Nancy, is the bid waiver. We talked about this a little bit today, about the bid waiver process at the town level. So I think concurrent with the Public Site and Building Commission reviewing and making a recommendation on retaining the architect and at what cost and at what scope. Concurrently with that, we do need to get the action target purchase order underway, which first requires a bid waiver from the Board of Selectmen. So we've got probably a couple of weeks in there to get that to hit I think the next Board of Selectmen meeting is the 9th. It might be the next time.
No, it's actually the first. They meet the 1st and 3rd.
So, if we can get it together for March 2nd, that would be great. If it needs to push to that next meeting, it just means that in the next 2 weeks, we should be getting the purchase order out to Action Target concurrently with the architects beginning their work on the redesign work.
And even though the Board of Selectmen has been busy in the budget process in the past month and a half, they've still had a few regular Board of Selectmen meetings. And during one of them, they appointed Bob Durkin to be part of our commission again. So he's now officially a member and is going to be with us through the firing range project. So he'll have any technical details that we need to know, et cetera. He's done work along with Mike Libertini's done a lot too. He was at the meeting today too. Forgot to mention him because he was the one that originally got us started with that Action Target and started getting all the information together several years ago to make sure that we had, as we were putting the structure for the firing range up, everything in place so that once we got to this point, we were ready to go. So welcome, Bob. Bob got sworn in or sworn at, I'm not sure which. So he'll be joining us in the future. And Action Target did say today that they have a substantial lead time on putting everything together. So things aren't going to get installed next week. It's going to take a little while.
How long are they saying?
So they gave us a 4-week time period to design and produce the documents for their portion of the work, and then about 5 months for fabrication and delivery. So So, which I think he explained to me was about 4 to 6 weeks longer than would be typical, but that's what they're seeing now is 5 weeks for fabrication and delivery. So they would be, and I know they've already started their design drawings. I think they're probably pretty much done because they were based on work that was done, 4 years ago.
Right.
But my feeling is that they will complete their documentation. Well, so we get them, once they get the purchase order, I think that they'll be well positioned to complete their documentation in that 3 to 4 week period. And then would move immediately to the fabrication time period. And within that time period, we would be, the architect's drawings would be concurrent with the actual target drawings. And then we would have a little bit of a lag, but in that time period, we would have time to figure out what we're doing with the contractor to complete the, that additional work. And some of that work does need to happen right before Action Target shows up with the equipment to install. So there'll be a little bit of a lag of a couple of months, but then we'll probably jump in with some construction. Action Target will come and install their equipment. Our contractor will finish up the work that needs to happen after Action Target leaves. And my expectation is probably by, the end of the summer, we should have a complete project.
So I have one question, and not too sure where it went, but I believe the last holdup on the previous one was that the HVAC system, the town, Laura, was concerned about the certification of it.
Yeah, and I brought that up today.
Oh, and
yeah.
is that resolved? Because
Yeah.
Because I think that was the problem that we had though with Action, is that the Action one was, so-called, it was not to the Navy standard or whatever it might be. I don't recall which standard it was.
Right. But it is actually.
Well, apparently it qualifies for every other one, but
Right.
whatever it was. So long as that's been resolved, I just didn't want to get all the way down the road and find out that our town people are going to have a problem with it.
Well, it's resolved in that there had been some discussion, but we still have to go through the permitting process. Laura may have questions, but I think
Right. Okay.
there's lots of answers.
Good.
Yeah, I think we're actually better off because we're buying a packaged system supplied by a vendor that specializes in this
Right.
sort of ventilation.
Yep.
And they do have all of the test information and the certifications. I think the original concern, it sounds to me, might have been based on the fact that we were having a kind of a regular mechanical engineer design a system that then one would want assurances that what they're designing really matched the requirements for a firing range. But I think we're in a much better position here now because of where the equipment's coming from.
I agree 100%. So I agree.
How about the prevailing wage? Did we ask about that?
I did. They did account for local prevailing wage rates in their quote. And even though they bring their own crew to install, they will comply with the state of Connecticut wage rates at the time.
Excellent, thanks.
Good.
Okay, anything else that we need to, I don't know, Bob Durkin, if you've got anything you want we covered it all, we got it all. Anything else, Geraldine?
No, just
Do you have
there'll
an
be much more action next meeting because we'll have stuff to approve.
Yeah.
I don't.
Do you want to do the invoice or what do you want to do?
I don't care. It's like $400. You can skip
I'll
it.
screen share it. Here it is. No, I'll do it because
yeah.
then that'll make it so that both finance and whoever in the town has to create some sort of a account for the project so they don't start charging it against the original project, which they shouldn't do. So I can just.
Yeah, if you can, because I'm not sure that I can find it on my.
No, I'll just read it. And it was in the stuff that Geraldine sent out. We'd have to go through the emails to try to find it because it's an attachment to an email. And I asked about file sharing and things like that. And I know that there's some stuff going on, I think at the town level, according to Matt, with a greater expanse of like using, I think, Google and Google Drive sort of stuff for us to be able to have a central, because we had talked about this at last meeting, of having a central place to put documents for this project. And whether it stays, you know, if it stays with the architect, then once we're done with the project, then it stays with the architect. If it's with the contractor, it stays with the contractor. Once we're done with the project, it stays with STV, then it's there. So if we want to keep something like we have with the school project one that we can access on a regular basis. I don't know, Kathy, if you know anything about this. I think I was told you were going to be learning more about it. Add that to all your list of things to do. So I'll keep looking into what we can do and find out more, because we're going to need it very soon if we're going to start sharing, you know, stuff from an architect, stuff from Action Target, et cetera, et cetera. So the invoices from STV, because Geraldine did get started on this. And so it's invoice number 900-23742 dated 2/18/2020. It's just for getting started on the firing range. It's for the month of January, and the amount is $474.50.
Motion to approve.
So we've got a motions and seconds and all that, Roy, Dave. This is what it looks like if you need to see it.
Wow.
Well,
I can find it on my email, but you guys got it in your email. So all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? We're done with that. So we will have, as Geraldine said, much more information in the meetings to come and through March, and et cetera, as the architects and Action Target start getting together more info, coming up with prices. And again, for us following up at the town level of what we need to do for bid waivers, et cetera. Action Target being in some ways a proprietary service. We're not going to put this, you know, we're not sending out an RFP and doing all that. So.
Hey, Nancy?
Yeah.
Did we ever get any clarification on some of the, not the expenditures, but the final monies from the original project? If what was left, what's not left, or I know there was some.
Yeah, I haven't finished all that. So, and since it was everybody presenting their budgets over the past month and a half, I was kind of letting it, I wasn't trying to get Brad or anybody else to ask questions because they were focusing on all that stuff. So, so I do have to get some clarification on that, because if there is some left in the other, we did have a $28,000 credit from Downs from the construction contingency.
Mhm.
We did theoretically spend some of that making the bridges over the ductwork and things like that. So we have to find out where we are, and if there's anything left, can it be put forward into, again, not sure where the money's coming from for this. It's been set aside, but where's it coming from? We have to find that out.
All right, thank you.
Yep. Okay, so I think we're done with firing range right now. So Bob, thank you. Geraldine, thank you. And we're going to move into municipal center renovations.
all right.
See you guys next
Thanks a lot.
2 weeks. So, Eileen is here with us because she's been working hard with Gordian. We finally got going with them. It seemed like, at least to me, like nothing was going on, but finally they got going. And so she's going to give us an update. I don't know if you want to just do some explanation first, or if you want me to put that thing up on the screen, or what do you want to do?
I can do a quick explanation, and then you can, I guess, put the screen up. So,
Okay.
And Gordian, I'm sure you've explained to them Gordian and how they work, and it's a state contract bid process and company.
We did talk about that a while back, which
Okay.
is, you know, I explained at the time that that's why you started looking into it. That because they work with the state approved, the whole state contract list, doesn't require us to put out RFPs and, or ask for bids and things like that.
Right.
And if you have
So-
anything else you want to talk about with Gordian, go ahead, do that.
Okay, so no, that's about it, just that it's a state, you know, they have the company and it's a state contract and they work with your drawings and give you a price. So we've been working with them and also working on trying to keep the project to get what we need, the essentials, and not going over the top, because over the top is gonna cost us more money. And we're at the point where we need to get these bathrooms in the front hallway and the locker rooms renovated. Whether they're, you know, we don't need certain skylights, we don't need, you know, ceiling blown out. We need to have basic toilets, bathrooms, new floors, new ceilings, new doors, automatic doors. So we've worked with them to break it into like almost 2 projects, which is the front entryway with the male and female bathrooms, a family restroom, new floor, new ceiling, new doors into the GP room, new automatic doors entering the entering the building, which has a ramp that has no automatic door presently. And then the next part would be the renovation of the locker room areas with new floors, new fixtures, new showers, new everything. But some of the, you know, going through some of the drawings with the locker room, there's a lot of moving of pipes and everything. They're trying to keep everything where they don't have to jackhammer floors and that kind of thing. So they're going to use the plumbing and everything that's existing and redo it. So the price I have first from them is the front entryway, the bathrooms in the front way, and that came in at $397.49. So we're looking to use the federal government money for this project. And we need to have, like, we have a committee that's been doing it. And so we sent it to you guys to have you approve it so that we can have the Board of Selectmen waive the bid process and approve it for the funds. So,
So do you want me to put it up on the screen
or
right now? Or?
if you want, or the drawing, if you want.
Well, I'll put the whole thing.
Okay.
So Kathy, I guess I can screen share, right? Did you? Yeah, all right. So I got to find it first because I had it.
So,
What did we do? Did we give them the prints and that's how they came up with the price?
I gave them a copy of the prints and then they have taken it and downsized it. So like we didn't do the ceiling in the entryway. We're not blowing it up, like, you know what I mean? We're not going into the balcony area. We're just replacing the ceiling. And then they took it so that the toilets and the sink, the exact number of toilet sinks are what's going to be there. They didn't changing of that. It's mainly the ceiling going up. So like they excluded, you know, the changing of the second floor. The stairway will remain blocked off by the men's room, which will go up to but you still have access to the balcony area and the roof. So,
I mean, one of the problems I thought we had in there was the ceilings are so low. I thought that was why they were trying to blow that up to
watch TV.
open it up.
the ceiling is low, but doing that work would be extremely because of the steel beams and everything that's up there. So.
Yeah, I don't know as it's required.
I don't think it's required.
Yeah. So here's the original drawing. And I can't fit the whole thing on the screen, but it shows, and if you remember, you know, when you enter, you're in that lobby area outside the GP room. And so the doors going in, the doors coming into the building are being replaced, and the doors coming from the lobby into the GP room are going to be replaced too. Those
3 doors will become like 1 door, double door.
right, right, and then the stairs going up to the roof still gets kind of left there, and
Yep.
that door stays locked. But then the bathroom next to it, that area gets done, and the stairs on the other side get taken out, and that becomes bathroom and family bathroom.
Right. Right.
One of the things that there's storage closets in this area now too, and we were concerned initially about some of the IT equipment in there, like that's I think a lot of the stuff that's in there runs all the cameras in the building, et cetera. But we found that it can fit into a small little cabinet that can be either up on the ceiling or somewhere in the bathroom that can be locked and not bothered with. So we don't have to need a whole closet for that stuff. And then whoever's using those closets right now will have storage elsewhere, because there's going to be plenty of storage down still left out in the locker room area once we get to working on that. So this is just the GP room area. New floor, like Eileen said, new ceiling, new doors, the bathrooms, not blowing open the 2 things that's good is we don't have to be cutting through steel beams, but then we also have abatement in that area above that doesn't need to happen right now, so that's good. So these are the amounts that it's that contractor BMP that comes up with these amounts, right, Eileen?
Yeah, he works with he's the construction company out of Brookfield.
Yeah, they're in Brookfield. They've come up with, and so is this a firm price right now, or are they still working on something?
No, that's a firm price for the front entryways.
Okay, and so they don't need to get any drawings redone?
No, we've met with Public Works and the building official, building inspectors, and they've looked at the plans and they've looked at what they're going to do and walked through the project, and they're fine with the drawings the way they are.
So even things like sprinklers and stuff like that, we don't need to change any of that.
Yeah, the sprinklers are on the side of the walls, but there are, funds in there for them to do any of the sprinklers in the bathrooms and stuff.
Right, and because we're not blowing open the ceiling, that would have required some sprinkler stuff to happen.
Yes.
So since we don't do that, and then there's another page where, sorry, we didn't get this out to everybody ahead of time, but I can email it to everyone to review. But it's just kind of writing, it's pretty much what we talked about, what Eileen went through as far as what's going to happen. So do we need to do anything tonight, Eileen?
Well, it's up to you. You could wait if you're meeting in 2 weeks. It's just, we would like to get it to the Board of Selectmen as soon as we can. But, just so that we could get it on their tables and get it on their schedule. And then also, move forward so we can get the locker room. So once they're done with the front entryway, they could possibly move right into doing the locker rooms.
Mm-hmm. So, but Eileen, you did say that the locker rooms will require some updates to drawings and things like that.
Yes, they're going to have new drawings, and it would be like 2 different contracts, one for them to get new drawings from Peter, and then one to have them come up with their, the work itself.
Okay, so and what you were saying, what you told me, I think, is that this BMP would go to Peter.
Yes.
It wouldn't be
us paying Peter to do the work. It would be them paying him.
Right, but the money to pay them comes out of the ARPA funds?
That's what the plan is, yeah.
Okay.
Does their proposal include prevailing wage?
I believe so with the state contract, yes. I can double check that with them tomorrow.
Yeah, we don't want to kind of.
Right, well, it's a state contract, so it has to be prevailing wage.
Right.
So, but I'll confirm that and with them tomorrow.
So, does anybody have any other questions? That was a good one from John. Make sure we don't end up in the same place we did a few years ago when we got a quote that didn't have prevailing wage. And I don't know how everybody feels, if they want to do some more reviewing of this before we take action, or if we're good to go. Give me some input. So I think everybody's muted right now, so you're going to have to unmute to be able to.
I think we need to start moving along with this. This has been dragged out like the firing range for a long time. And, you know, it's not like we beat it to death, because we didn't. I think we did a lot of preliminary work on this as a committee, but at least we should get going on this, you know, to start the motion with the Board of Selectmen and so forth.
Hey, John, the only question I have is, and I agree with you on that we got to move this along. But I kind of want to just see what the change is between the original plans and where we are now. That's the only thing that, you know.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Are we going a totally different way? I think we all had a comfort level, you know, with where it is. If it's generally the same project with, you know, with some cost savings in there, I'm 100% satisfied. But, you know, I haven't looked at it at all. So, you know, I just.
So
Eileen,
you're saying this whole project is going to be about 380,000?
The front entryway.
Okay, what about the locker room portion?
I don't have a price for that yet.
Okay, and are they working and developing that price?
We have to get them new drawings, and then they can develop that price. So, but they have been through the building, looking at all the electrical and everything. And there's a third sheet that says the entryway upgrades, and then it's excluded from the scope of work, which is like the ceiling, the stairway would remain, that the stairway up to the like dungeon area. There's no drinking fountain. The vaulted ceiling is not going to be there. So there's a few things that we had in the original that are not, but it's.
Now, what about the big glass windows in the
Right. Because that came up with the late plan.
Those are the glass, those are on the gym side of the building. And I was not going to have them be part of the entryway because the locker rooms are a different project.
Keep that separate.
And to be honest with you, I've been here a long time, and we moved into this building 26 years ago. And the locker rooms and these front hallways have been the way they have been for 26 years. And if we need to have the doors and the glass windows redone by the gym, that should be done out of capital non-recurring as a separate item. We need to get the bathrooms done and the locker rooms done. And then that should be, if they're not working. I mean, I hate to see them go because it's gorgeous when you look by and you can see, but to add that to part of this project again, we'll just add money to it, and then we end up not getting it done. This has been put on the back burner for every project that we have done. The schools, the police station. We've been talking about this for over 20 years, and we have a chance to do it, and have a chance to do it at a reasonable cost and getting the basics. And that's what we need. We need to not have people wander the entire building, go find a female restroom.
But there are new entry doors. Eileen, the main entry door going into the bathrooms here, that's all new though, right? They didn't.
It's going to be a new automatic door, yes.
Correct. Okay.
Yes.
And also it had to have like handrails and what have you for the handicap, because
it has to meet the handicap requirements. And
so all those items are taken care of.
Yeah. If you look at, I have the drawing back up here now. We've got the steps coming up and then the ramp coming up. You come in, new double doors here. This is kind of under that roof. And
I don't have the drawings up on my screen at all.
I
got your documents.
It's all in this document file.
Oh, I can see it. So, I
Yeah.
clicked on it and I've been scrolling through it thinking you can see it. So let me check again. Where is it? Yeah, that's what's oddly enough. So let me do that. We're back here. I kept thinking you were seeing it because I was seeing it. So let me try again.
No, the same thing comes up.
Yeah,
And then I just went into the document and you're not seeing it. Okay,
No.
let me see. I have it in the background here too, and I'm just not getting to it. That's not what I want to share. What I want to share is that.
There it is.
You can see it now or no?
Yeah,
Okay, sorry. This is what I was looking at
So,
the whole time on my screen. Here's the drawings. So you see the you see the drawings now?
yep,
So these are the original drawings, and my cursor is kind of on the platform. It comes up the steps into the GP room. Here's the ramp. Here's the
Right.
double doors that are going to be replaced, and they're going to have the push button on the outside, which we had talked about adding in
right.
to make sure that this literally is handicapped accessible. And then we come in, the area where they were going to blow open and raise it up, I don't know, a foot or so is not happening. These the triple doors going into the GP room will be replaced with these double doors. Here's the bathrooms and the family bathroom. That's stairs are coming out.
Yep.
And then on this end, the stairs stay, and this bathroom here. And then we have floor and ceiling, probably I don't know whether it's a tile or a drop ceiling. There's a sheetrock ceiling underneath that tile right now.
Yeah.
So I'm not remembering what it called for and what it says. Let me scroll to here, and this talks about
Because it was
everything that's
close. The ceilings were pretty tight there.
yeah. Well, and we weren't blowing up the whole ceiling. It was just going to be almost like a tray
Right.
ceiling in a way that was going to get.
but there will be a new ceiling of some, like either sheetrock or something put up
Yes.
against the curtains.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
the
Okay.
current,
Yeah,
that
'cause that
old tile
looks
stuff will come
terrible.
down.
Okay,
And
all
then new floor tile too, which
Yeah.
I don't know, Eileen, whether they've said specifically what the floor tile is going to
Yeah,
be.
it
Or,
was only VCT. It's all I saw there. 12 by 12 VCT.
yeah, that's what it says on the price list too.
Yeah.
So is that what you're going with there, Eileen? It's just vinyl composition tile, which is pretty much what's everywhere in the building except for
Building,
the
yeah,
new
so
this will
we
be
didn't
new
wanna-
stuff.
Yeah, we weren't gonna change that.
old stuff's coming out, new stuff is going in, right?
Yep,
Yeah, the only place in the building that has, I think a terrazzo floor is in the lobby of the
the
main
main,
entrance. Yeah.
Well,
And
we're
that
not
was
going that route.
No, and I think they did that because that was going to be the main entrance and have the most traffic, but I don't know. This will have a lot of traffic too, but I think some of the flooring that's been put into some of the other offices, like your own office, Eileen, is pretty durable. So I think something along those lines would be good.
and easy to wash and that type of
Yep.
thing, which is what we need.
Did they give us any construction time frame? Just from curiosity?
Yep, they, it says here, it would take lead time for materials, equipment and labor would be 4 to 6 weeks, and it would take about 90 days to complete.
Okay,
Huh, that's pretty good.
because I'm sure the Board of Selectmen is going to want that information too when they
Yeah.
talk to them. Yeah.
Yep.
So who's going to be running the job though? And are we going to need a rep or someone to make sure, or where?
No, it would be, I believe it would be somebody from Gordian and then working with BMPW. There's a Gordian rep that I've been talking to, and then he communicates to the construction company. And I have direct contact with the construction company too, but there's them as well. So they're like we would hire, they would be the general, I guess.
So Gordian would be our contact.
Yeah, as well as, the contact through the construction company.
And would the construction company have like a supervisor or someone that's either on the job regularly or comes to the
Yes.
job regularly to make sure
Yes,
stuff's getting
Yeah.
done?
yeah.
And then as far as time frame, is there a time frame that you think is best for the building and for your programs and things like that, Eileen?
I actually, there's probably not gonna be an ideal time, but like if we have the front entry bathrooms done and we can close off the lock and then do the locker rooms afterwards and close them off and use back entrance to get into the gym, and they still have access to a bathroom right in the front hallway. But
So you said,
you know, the ideal time would be to get the front foyer done,
right,
whatever, in the, say, July and beginning of August, or end of June, July. And then they start the locker rooms like middle of August and try to get it done, you know, doing it before the end of October when basketball gets in full swing. Because we can work around our other activities in the gym, but if we don't have locker rooms during basketball time, it makes it hard.
so given the time frame that you were just talking about, how many weeks, et cetera, you think that if we keep moving forward, that possibly by the end of July, this section could be done?
Done, because that would be 90, say May 1st, say, let's, you know, we do, or even May, June, July. And then if between that time we can work out the locker room part, they start, like, then they wouldn't have to like almost leave. They could just move into the next, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Phase
yeah.
two. Yeah.
But we couldn't have both going at the same time because of camp and, you know.
Right,
so.
right, yeah. And it would to kind of put too much pressure on the rest of the people in the building.
Yeah,
That you use storage in different places and.
Yeah,
which
and there's, like, there's a lot, you know, the one closet, one is just that the computer with the camera and stuff. And then the other one is a storage of like envelopes and stuff for the tax collector. So
Right.
we can definitely find a space for that, because those will be the entryways into the bathrooms. Those two closets become the doorways to the two restrooms. And it's the other parts when we start doing if we do the renovation to the locker rooms, that take away some storage space where for the youth leagues, so they're gonna have to find new homes because the storage space that's left, we need. Because we really have cut down, like moving walls and adding walls and that kind of thing. So, but I think with the ceiling not being blown out upstairs for the other area, we can store like our theater program stuff up there, which is now youth sports. So there's just be changes of usage of the storage that we have. But that's separate from, that will be just the locker room design, so.
Right. Okay, so where do we want to go with this? A lot of good questions, a lot of good input. Can I get like what people think is next here? You ready to go?
I'm happy enough as far as where we're going. I still wouldn't mind just taking one quick glance at the plans and make sure everyone concurs with where we're going. I mean, this is the first I've seen of it. So,
Okay.
I mean, I'd love to get moving. I'm not trying to hold things up by any means. So,
Well, sure. I can forward this and then
with this, yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
You know, I just don't know what else. I mean, I could have set up a meeting with the Gordian and the construction with whoever wants to meet one day. And if you're available or if it's Roy and Nancy, you guys meet and he explains what he's gonna do, like he did with the, building inspector and public works. That way you would feel comfortable with him. I don't have a problem with that. And then you could vote on it at your next meeting. Would that work?
Yeah, I'm not available till the end of next week though. That's the only problem. So maybe.
Yeah, we could even do it right the day of your meeting or so, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that would work good if we could do it then.
Yeah, so we could see if we can set something up for, so you said the end of next week, Roy, so it would be more like that first full week of.
Like the week of the 7th?
Yeah, the week of the 7th is good for me.
Okay. Because you meet on the 15th, right?
No, the 9th.
No, the
Oh,
9th,
9th. Okay, so
The
I'll
7th.
do it like the 7th or the 8th.
7th
Yeah.
or the 8th would work great.
Okay,
Mhm.
all right. And I'll email Nancy, then you could send it out to everybody and then whoever can come.
Yep.
Yeah,
What time of day works good for you, Roy?
I'm kind of pretty good, but Tuesday is maybe I have a problem somewhere in the afternoon, mid-afternoon, but pretty good most of the day.
All right,
So
so
I would say maybe it might be best to do like first thing in the morning, 8, 9
Yeah.
o'clock or something like that,
Okay.
or like 3 or
Yep.
4, like 4 o'clock, 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah,
something like
that works good for me. Hey, John, is either one of the Johns available?
It depends.
I
might be-
could,
Yeah, I could probably make it either that Monday or Tuesday because I'm
Okay,
traveling the rest of the week down to Carolina. So, yeah.
that'd be good if possible. I'd love to have a couple of us there. Just a quick overview. I just want to
Yep.
make sure,
Yep.
I'm comfortable, Eileen. Don't get me wrong. I just want to do a quick overview just to make sure we're all thinking the same thing. And I think we are.
Okay, no problem.
So, Eileen, do you have anything other than these 3 pages that I would send to people, or is this kind of it as far as written stuff right now?
There's a whole review summary I could scan to you tomorrow morning if they want to send that too.
So basically, that's right. So the other thing that Eileen has is each of these categories that you see on the screen right now has a whole, so general conditions, demo and prep work. Each one has a couple pages of more detailed information. I don't know if anybody wants to see that. Yes, no?
I don't mind. I kind of want to glance at the plans. So yeah.
So the only,
So
I
I'll
don't
scan,
yeah,
I'll
I don't-
scan it to you,
Hey.
and then I'll also ask them to see if they can work up like a little bit more, if they have opportunity to do a little bit more detailed plan than what you have, and
right.
but I
So,
think,
And also ask them what type of contract they're looking at doing too, so we can inform Marty as far as what the logistics.
yep,
yeah, that's going to be stuff that Board of Selectmen might ask too. So Eileen, the 3 pages that we have here, 2 pages from Gordian, did they give you that in paper form, or did they send it
No,
to you as an
I can-
attachment?
I can email it all. I'll email it all to you, Nancy.
Okay.
The
Since,
the whole
instead of having
Gordian
this,
page.
instead of scanning each page
Yep.
or whatever, if you have an electronic,
Yep,
if they sent it to you in an electronic document as attachment, send it to me as an attachment and I'll forward it to everyone else.
That's great.
Yeah.
okay,
Okay.
Good, thank you.
Yeah. So, and then
That's
I think, once we get comfortable, everybody feels 100% comfortable with everything. I mean, I'm pretty much comfortable, but you do want to have a little time to review things, make sure we don't
Yep.
leave anything out. And then I guess I would have to, I'd write something to the Board of Selectmen, but then Eileen, you and I might need to go to a meeting and,
yeah, I would have to go to the meeting to request the funds.
yeah. Or
So,
both of us. I think it kind of, if it goes through us, then it would come from us,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
we would be there to answer questions, et cetera. And now that they're done with all the budget stuff,
Yeah,
it'll be a little easier to get in with them too.
yeah.
Good.
Right. So does anybody need to see anything more of the screen stuff?
Nope.
Done. Sorry about the, I was seeing it and you weren't, and I'm scrolling through it and pointing to it, and you guys are
I
all
wouldn't have
going,
been able to
what
up that far, so.
the hell is she talking about? So, did we lose
Okay, bye.
Kathy?
Thank you.
All right, so that should be it for everything on our agenda. Anybody have any questions on any other projects? Something we might need to talk about in the next month or so is continuing what we're going to do, continuing our meeting process, whether we're going to continue to do just virtual, whether we're going to go back to in person or whether, I think we are gonna have to do, if we did in person, we would have to make it hybrid. And as I said, it's recording, so I'm assuming Kathy's still here, but I don't see her, but anyways, sorry. There's, I don't know if there's gonna be anything that'll come up where they're gonna make us in person or stay with hybrid, because things, I guess everything has to get recorded now, so, and then it gets put up on the
Oh.
town website, and anybody who wants to can watch a recording of our meeting in their spare time when they're trying to. So, all right, so
I can make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second that.
Roy's seconding it, all in favor?
All right.
Thank you, everybody. All
Thanks, everyone.
And I,
right, see ya.
I,
Good night.
So I guess I'm the host now. Do I stop recording it? I don't know where Kathy went. She can't get back on. All right,
see you, Nancy.
yeah, bye. I'll end the meeting. Thanks.